Good afternoon and welcome to Suzuka in Japan. We are ready for rounds 19 and 20 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship. After our first ever trip to North America, we return to Japan and to Suzuka for the second time. It's the fourth World Touring Car race weekend in Japan. Had two first at TI Aida and now at Suzuka, in celebrating its 50th anniversary. This first ever Asian racetrack. The track was in fact designed by Soichiro Honda, the founder of the Honda Motor Company, 50 years ago, and it has been a Honda Group project ever since, and celebrating not only that anniversary but 40 years of the Honda Civic this year. So Honda returning to top flight international action with their first venture into the World Touring Car Championship. Well, our regular World Touring Car order is headed by champion Ivar Muller and Rob Huff, the entry list featuring all the usual runners and riders, plus we have a couple of additional runners this weekend rather. Rennie Munich is in at Sunred as Daryl Young has moved to Bamboo Engineering. Masaki Kano returns with the Engsler team, and we will have more drivers joining us for the remaining Asian races in China and in Macau towards the end of the season. Looking down the grid, in 14th place is the leader of the Yokohama Independence Trophy standings, Norbert Mikulec, the Hungarian driver, not having a good run in qualifying in his BMW. It seems to be the way with the BMW teams this year. One weekend they're in the top 5, next weekend they struggle to get into the top 15, and this is Mikulec's weekend to struggle in qualifying, it seems. However, 26 laps of the Suzuka East circuit might make a difference. After qualifying, Ivar Muller is a single point ahead of Rob Huff. Poleman Alamenu is 47 points behind his teammate Muller in the championship chase. Gabriele Tarquini lies in 4th ahead of Tom Coronel and Norbert Mikulec, who also is going strongly, as you can see, in the overall championship. Mikulec comfortably leads the Yokohama standings from Pepe Oriola. And in 3rd place is Stefano D'Aste, who has qualified in 10th place for race 1, but will start the race 2 grid at the very front. So D'Aste also fastest in this morning's warm-up. But there is our poleman, Alamenu, and he's sitting on the shady side of the grid. So I wonder what effect that will have. Let's take a look back at what happened in qualifying. It's still a fairly dusty racetrack. It's been pretty rainy during the week, although pictures from Saturday wouldn't necessarily show that. And that has meant that there's been, well, what happens is essentially a lot of the grip gets washed away. Not quite like jet washing the slime off your patio, but a similar kind of effect. Except it gets less grippy rather than more grippy. However, Alamenu claimed pole position. A Chevy Cruise 1, 2, 3, 4 in fact, because behind the RML boys was Alex McDowell, the top independent on the grid, and that tied up the championship for Chevrolet. They are the Constructors' champions for a 3rd consecutive year. Well, great view down onto the grid. Muller on the outside, the front row, on the right as we see it, driver's left, then Huff and McDowell, so Chevys 1, 2, 3 and 4. And then Mehdi Benani, a great qualifying run from him. Top BMW, he's in 5th place, the Moroccan driver, ahead of Tarquini, Coronel and Dudicalo. Oriola's Seat and D'Aste's BMW rounding out the top 10, ahead of the Honda of Thiago Monteiro, who starts 11th for both races. Daryl Young 12th, ahead of Franz Engsler and Norbert Mikulec, the points leader in the Yokohama Trophy. Hiroki Yoshimoto starts in 17th place in his Sunred Seat Leon, ahead of Charles Eng and Rennie Munich. And then the cars that were sent to the back of the grid for engine changes, the Fords of James Nash, Tom Chilton, and the BMW Masaki Kano. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Martin Haven. Alongside me is Harry Volkard, and leaning in the door there is William de Brecquelaire, the head of Honda Racing Europe, who is overseeing this program run by Yasport. offering Thiago Monteiro final words of encouragement and advice, as if he needed any. I think he's pretty fired up for this debut with the Honda, a brand new factory car in his hands. You've got to be looking at that as a great boost, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. This is obviously a massive opportunity for Thiago, and obviously for Honda. This is Honda's home circuit, and this track was actually designed by Honda and for Honda testing, so it's kind of quite a fitting kind of debut, I suppose, for the works team.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, there you saw the Yokohama Trophy points, 25-point advantage. Is that right? 34 minus 9, 25? Yes. My maths is just shocking. 25-point advantage for Norbert Mikelitz. As we said before, with upwards of 22 points plus bonuses on offer for each of the 3 remaining race weekends, and in fact 44 points plus on offer in Macau. The championship is still very much open. Well, this year's qualifying rules have the top 10 in qualifying, starting 1 to 10 and then 10 to 1 on the race 1 and the race 2 grid. So Stefano D'Aste starts race 1 in 10th, but race 2 on pole. I'm sure he will be keeping some fresh tyres for that. Pepe Oriola starts in 9th position, and Oriola just a couple of spots in front of arch rival Norbert Mikelitz. But the young Spaniard will be aiming to try and push forward as far as he can. Oriola starts in 9th place. In 8th is Alexei Dudicalo here in the 2nd of the Lukoil Seats. Russian looking to try and get another podium.
The tears flow for Victoria Azarenka.
It's the biggest thing outside a Grand Slam. So who's going to end the season on a high? The answer awaits in Istanbul, where this year's 8 top hotshots battle for the coveted trophy. Tuesday at 1600, the WTA Championships, live from Istanbul on Eurosport.
ATS high-tech wheels, world champions with Chevrolet.
If you're going go-kart, get a Dino. After 50 years in the business, Dino go-karts are still some of the best in the world. See more on dino.dk.
Shanghai. There are many reasons to visit the cultural center of Eastern Asia and China's most vibrant city. And this November, there's yet another. The FIA World Touring Car Championship debuts at the Shanghai International Circuit. Come and share the excitement of a weekend of unforgettable racing in an unforgettable city. The FIA WTCC in Shanghai, from the 2nd to the 4th of November. Discover this month's great sporting events available on the Eurosport Player mobile application. So you don't miss out on any of the action, the mobile app gives you full live streaming access to Eurosport and Eurosport 2. Watch your favourite sports and stay connected when you're on the move. Because sport never stops, Eurosport Player is also available on Mac and PC. Eurosport Player, all sports, all emotions.
The WTCC is brought to you by Euronics, best of electronics.
Well, the long run down the main straight at Suzuka into what was originally a fairly tight right-hander, which is now a sort of 2-part tightening right-hander, is a classic John Hugenholtz signature. Think Tarzan at Zandvoort, and you're getting the same idea. because it was Hugenholtz who actually did the layout of this figure-8 circuit. This is your classic Scalextrics layout. Yes, it's actually got a bridge, a crossover, but that's the Grand Prix circuit. Unfortunately, we don't use that. What we do use is the Suzuka East circuit, which is effectively the first half of the Grand Prix circuit, and that is just under a mile and a half, just over 2 kilometers long. And that'll give us a 26-lap race. Alex McDowell here, starting in 4th place on the grid. And, you know, Alex is a very quietly spoken lad, isn't he? But he's, you know, he comes from a road racing family. His dad was a touring car racer before him and is always there. Again, you know, he's not your archetypal pushy motor racing dad. You look at his dad, and you know exactly why Alex is the way he is. He's a really quietly spoken guy, but he just seems to be coming right back onto it now.
Definitely, Alex has really found some really good form towards the end of the season, and you know, fair play to him. He's having a stunning weekend, and that qualifying performance, you know, he was pretty much on the money with the works cars, and that's really saying something. You know, these guys in the works cars, they're in them all the time. They're testing them. They've developed the car. You know, it's testament to how well Alex has come on this season.
Well, good morning to Francesca Huff and to Jazzy as well. I know you're watching back home in Cambridgeshire. There you saw Rob on the grid, 3rd place on the grid, and his job in the next 5 minutes is going to be to tuck in behind the pole man and somehow in front of this man, because Rob knows, as well as Ivan does, as well as the rest of us do, that he can't win the championship by following Ivan Muller. He's going to have to win the championship by leading him. It's not always as easily done as it is said. Muller on the outside front row. You can see he's got a rear-facing camera. He's one of half a dozen cars, in fact 7 cars with cameras on board this weekend. And Rob Huff, Gabriele Tarquini carrying cameras, Norbert Mikulits, Alain Menu, James Nash, Tom Coronel and Thiago Montero, all with cameras on board. So our pole man, I'm hoping he's got a rear-facing one, because that may be the view that we're going to be interested in. If Alain Menu makes anything approaching a decent start from the rolling getaway, then he should be the man that leads the field, not just across the line, but into the first corner. 3 minutes to go. So the grid is being cleared of the final tyre trolleys and support personnel, getting ready for the start of round 19 here in Suzuka.
Follow the score of your favorite team live and find the latest results and features with Eurosport's Live Score.
With Eurosport.com's free application available on tablets and smartphones, gain access to all the articles and videos from Eurosport.com, plus get the latest news in real time. Check out the latest results, fixtures and tables, and follow your favourite sports events live.
Japan quality. Yokohama, your tyre.
Cars heading off around Suzuka East Circuit. There is our Yokohama Trophy points leader, Norbert Mikulits, starting both races here in 14th place. Lot of work to do for him this weekend. He can afford as much as anyone can afford to lose a few points to his rivals. His closest rivals are Pepe Oriola, Stefano Dasti, Alex McDowell and Franz Engstler in that order. But you can't have that mindset. You can never afford to lose anything to anybody in professional sport, because then once that rot starts, there's no stopping it. Yeah, a lot of it's building momentum as well. You know, if you back off and you let your rival, your main rival, kind of get something over you, then that, like you say, it's kind of like a rot. It almost becomes the norm, and they build confidence, you lose confidence, and it's just a negative spiral around. Andy Priaulx was very fond of saying, never, ever leave even 1 point unraced for. If you're 8th, go for 7th. If you're 7th, go for 6th, because you do not want to sit in the banquet in Macau and watch somebody else take the trophy because you could have been 5th at race 9 and you stayed in 6th place. Never leave a point on the table. Here we go then, Alain Menu with the red roof and the white cross leads the field. This is not a good parallel run. Ivan Muller gets alongside him now. It's a very slow run down to the lights. Long hold, they are nothing like in formation. Away they go, nevertheless. 26 laps of Suzuka East Circuit for round 19 of the World Touring Car Championship, and it is Menu with Muller going the long way round the outside. Huff is on the inside. Is Muller going to tuck in? He can't yet, but he will get it into the left-handed turn 3. Huff is on the outside, Muller is in second, Menu leads, Huff is in third. 4th place is Gabriele Tarquini, jumped Alex McDowell. Tarquini yet again the best starter in a front-wheel drive racing car I think I've seen in I don't know how long. Standing start, rolling start, whatever, he always gets away well. So it is Menu, Muller, Huff, Tarquini, McDowell, Bernani, Dudicalo, Coronel, then Oriola, Daste, Thiago Montero, and the second of the Bamboo Engineering Chevys, which is Daryl O'Young. Menu leads them across the line. Job done by the blue and white cars. They got themselves tucked in, no contact, no dramas, nobody got spun out. Yeah, it was pretty frisky first couple of corners there, a lot of dice and people looking at the inside, and I think now they've got the formation. It's just a matter of trying to pull away and not interfering with each other too much. Well, the field's stretching out. Mehdi Bernani getting a little sideways there in the BMW in front of the red and white Seat of Alexei Dudicalo. And that's trouble already for Charles Eng in one of the Engstler BMWs. Is that a left rear puncture, or did it just look flat because of the way we were seeing it? Not sure. He's right down at the tail of the field though, and on this short lap they're going to catch him quickly as well. So if he's heading for the pits, let's hope he makes it before the leader gets to him. Looking back from Muller, there is Huff in 3rd place. Yeah, 26 laps around here. This obviously it looks like they've got the job done, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see some of the BMWs coming back through there. And Bernani, there's Dudicalo making a move on Bernani, but yep, and can't make it stick. He just tucked out of the slipstream, but he was nowhere near close enough. You're right. I mean, it's 26 laps because last year's race was very short in terms of time because it's such a short circuit. So what they've done is they've made it longer in terms of time. But actually, of course, what you're doing is going into that tightening turn 1 26 times, not 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 or 15, which you might do on certain other circuits that are longer. I mean, that's a massive amount of pressure on that left front tyre on a front-wheel drive car especially. Yeah, it's a short lap, but like you say, there are lots of long radius, constant velocity type of corners, which they're going to murder the front tyres on these front-wheel drive cars. So I think we've seen all weekend, the cars have been really, really twitchy. The front-wheel drive cars in particular are having to get the back end moving so much. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It's high tire degradation, so yeah, I'm sure we'll see the front-wheel drives dropping off later on. Well, the other thing, of course, we've seen and we're still seeing is lots of dust being thrown up as the cars cross, the line on the circuit, and there, ooh, a little bit of contact. Norbert Mikulits gets eased out. That was a bit clumsy, wasn't it? Wasn't the most fair move I've ever seen in my life. No, that was. Yeah, that was a bit tough. That was Yoshimoto, I think, getting inside him in the sun-red Seat. And there's Tom Boardman in the black car. There is Hiroki Yoshimoto right behind. So Mikulits was in 14th, now gets shuffled down to 16th position. Boardman started the move, got through cleanly. Now then, what's this? This is Huff and Muller. Ivan drifting out wide. Oh, is this a replay from the start? Yeah, I think that's a fierce lap. Okay, give us a clue, guys, if you're going to show the start, at least tell us. So I thought that might have been something we missed while we were watching the other incident. Again, you can see a little bit of tyre smoke, and is that from the front or from the rear wheel, which is unladen as they turn in?
I think it looks like that corner drops off a lot, and I think it's obviously the inside rear, but it really looks like there's quite a lot of camber on there, and it's a fourth gear, really fast corner, and it's a big stop on the way in, so it's probably the rear wheel just dragging slightly. Yeah,
and you know, and that puts the car even more over onto its nose on that left front corner as it hoiks the right rear wheel up in the air. And I'm sure that they've been trying to engineer as much compliance into the Chevy as they can, but you know, at some stage you get it too soft and it starts to roll even more, and then that really does rip the tyre to pieces. Menu is starting to just creep a little away, 1.09 clear at the end of last lap, and that gap has grown further back. Another battle. This is Thiago Monteiro with the black stripe down the middle of the car. The Honda looking inside, Daryl O'Young to try and retake 11th. Daryl's on the outside there, got by Thiago, but Thiago is still there and he's not going to turn in, is he? Whoa, a little bit of contact. Right behind is Franz Engsler, who can see a couple of places in the offing potentially. It's a big battle just in front of them as well. Dudicalo, Coronel, Oriola, Daste all jammed up behind Mehdi Banani in 6th position.
This is the beauty of a short circuit like this. Obviously, it's not that exciting of a lap because it is a small circuit, but it keeps everyone bunched up, so there's constantly something going on throughout the whole field.
Well, that's why the British Touring Car Championship will do the short circuit at Brands Hatch, for instance, and at Oulton Park rather than the full-length Grand Prix circuit, so that they come round a lot of times. The fans see a lot of moving metal for their money, but you're right, it stops them spreading out too much. Little battle further back behind the black and white car of Tom Boardman getting very squirrely there in front of Norbert Mikulits. This is the battle for 15th place. Boardman right in front of us as we ride with Norby, and then James Nash has got in front of Fernando Monche. Little bit of picture break up there from the onboard. Boardman still hanging on. Yoshimoto's got in front of him, his teammate. And there is the Zengo Motorsport team. This is not going as well as Mikulits would have hoped. He'd have wanted to go forward from 14th. It seems to be going backwards.
Yeah, he's had a bit of a stinking start to this round, hasn't he?
Well, Muller, despite seeming to drop away from Menu, hasn't lost more than a couple of hundreds to him in the last couple of laps. So Muller and Huff are close enough. Menu still leads the race. Alberto Cecchi just trying to tuck out behind James Nash. Whoa, as Daryl O'Young gets into corner 1 and corner 2 quicker than Tom Boardman, or with more speed than Tom Boardman, carrying more speed in, but then it's trying to find a way through. This is a good view of this section of the track, Harry. It goes up, it drops, it goes up again, but it is one racing line. Very hard indeed to try and get past a rival. Hiroki Yoshimoto in the white, predominantly white SR Sunred Seat, just in front of the black car of Tom Boardman. Boardman, Mikulits and Yoshimoto squabbling over 14th place in the background there as this queue behind Alexei Dudicalo comes down towards us.
I think Yoshimoto's backing up that little group there, and I think we're about to see some fireworks at some point there.
Well, Cecchi trying to get by James Nash with the blue and white car, the pale blue and white of the Ford, the dark blue and white of the Royal Motorsport BMW. And yeah, Yoshimoto got in front of this group, but it is now starting to get a little bit boisterous. He's not good in turn 8, he's not good in turn 1 either, Yoshimoto.
No, he's definitely backing Boardman into Mikulits, and that. I think this has got tears written all over it.
Yeah, Boardman is desperate to get by, and Yoshimoto not that keen on letting him go. And that queue is getting longer. So you've got the white car Yoshimoto, the black car Boardman, the orange and black car Mikulits, then you've got James Nash in the Ford, then you've got Alberto Cecchi in the BMW, then you've got Fernando Monche right behind him in the Seat, so that's a 6-car battle. There's a 9-car battle just in front of them. Again, Boardman not able to get a run where it counts, out of turn 8 and down the straight. And that's frustrating for Norbert Mikulits right behind, because he clearly thinks he can go quicker.
Yeah, Mikulits needs to crack on with this, doesn't he? And it's probably left it a little bit late already. I think this gap's kind of egging out between Yoshimoto and the guys in front.
Yeah, definitely. The gap now is out to nearly 4 seconds from Franz Engsler, who's the next closest car up the road, and ideally Mikulits could do with outscoring Engsler if he can outscore anybody. Well, he can't get to Pepe Oriola, who's too far up the road in 9th place. There's Menu, Muller and Huff, the 3 blue and white Chevy Cruises. 4th, the red and white car of Tarquini, ahead of Alex McDowell. He's the top independent in the race. Then Alexei Dudicalo, Mehdi Banani. And again, James Nash in 14, having to defend against Alberto Cerchi.
Someone off in the background there. Don't know if there's the Ford maybe, or...
There's a lot of them. Nash, Cerchi, Monche. All 3 of them together, and again with Norbert Mikulits. No, Nash is there, Cerchi is there, Monche it was, who was right behind the dark blue BMW. His pale blue and white Seat has drifted away a little. Yeah, Yoshimoto's really holding this queue up, isn't he? And yeah, Boardman is just desperate to get by.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for this. It's all going to go pear-shaped in a minute.
Oh, there you go, that's what he needed. And Yoshimoto drifts out wide onto the dirt. Boardman didn't even have to think about it. He just stayed on the racing line, and the pass came to him. And now Mikulits on the inside. Yoshimoto, if you think you're turning in there, son, you've got another thing coming. James Nash behind on the inside groove, defending against Alberto Cerchi, whose BMW goes all the way around the outside and still is on the outside of James Nash, and still is on the outside, and now comes up the inside. Good pass.
That was a big move, that wasn't it? Right the way around the outside there.
Well, now that shows that the BMWs have got grip left that the front drive cars haven't, because look at these Seats and the Ford, they are struggling. The orange and black car, Mikulits is all over the back of Boardman, and Cerchi just drove around the outside of Nash like he was in a different class of car or on a different type of tyre.
You can see the front guys now, Menu, Muller and Huff, they're all lapping about a second off what their fastest lap of the race has been, so key that they are definitely dropping away.
And Dudicalo in the red and white Lukoil Seat, with Mehdi Banani right behind him. This is Roof Cam with Coronel. Now is the time for all good men to rise to the cause, at least if you're in a BMW. 13 laps down, 13 laps to go. We're halfway through, and the front drive cars are definitely struggling. Now, you don't often see this in World Touring Car races, a balance in power changing with still half the race to go. And often when you do see it, it's at a track that overtaking is very, very hard to make happen on. So what we're going to see here now is the BMWs continue to have more grip than the front drive cars because of their better weight balance and distribution of power in the rear drive car. Is they're going to have to try and engineer a way by, and that's not going to be easy. Banani here behind the Seat, Harry. He's got to play crafty. He's got to force a mistake out of Dudicalo somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty. Once you've got that much more grip, you can almost force the other car into defending where he doesn't want to. You can kind of, you know, you can orchestrate him making a mistake, basically. So it's definitely, while it's very difficult to pass here, when you've got that much more grip, you can kind of push away.
Turn 1, Alberto Cerchi, I'm guessing, tried the outside line again and didn't quite get it right. Aldo Prio watching the pictures. Oh dear. Yellow flags are out in turn 1 and 2. Cerchi trying to go around the outside. Yoshimoto drifting way out wide. Alberto with nowhere to go, and unfortunately rolled off the brake so as not to destroy the tyres just a little too early, and it rolled right the way back into the gravel trap. Yellow flags are out. That is salvation for the front-wheel drive cars.
Yeah, definitely. This will give them a couple of laps to cool the tyres, because that was fairly well beached there, but I bet Menu will be pretty upset about that, and the 3 Chevys have disappeared off at the front there.
Well, it's not going to be a safety car, I don't think, but it will mean that one of the prime overtaking areas, which is down into turn 1, will be yellow flagged, and that means if you are trying to get by a Seat or another front-wheel drive car in front of you and you're in a BMW, you are are definitely going to be stymied at one of the prime overtaking places. Of course, you've still got up here between 8A and 8B, but turn 1 is definitely somewhere where you can put more pressure, let's say, on the man in front.
Yeah, definitely. Look at the gap that the Chevys have pulled there. I think that's, I mean, to be fair, these front 5, they've got probably a big enough gap over the rest of the field now. Well, certainly the top 3, and these 2 now, McDowell and is it Tarquini?
Tarquini, yeah.
Yeah, I think they've probably done enough. But that said, you know, we have seen the BMs getting stronger, but they're not coming to the fore as I thought they might have done at the start of the race.
And that's. See, it's difficult, you know. If you're at Monza, there'd be more places to pass, but there would be less tyre wear on the front-wheel drive car. So it's because they're using the tyres so much up this switchback section from turn 2 all the way to turn 8 that they are running out of tyre. Oh, nearly held it, Rennie Munich. Got it back in the end. Yeah, well, it was a good effort. Good effort.
It was well caught, that, to be fair.
Well, Alexei Dudicalo in the red and white Lucas Seat, he's got Mehdi Banani right behind him, but unless Banani makes the pass on the straight as they get to turn 1, they do run into the yellow flag zone. And that means that Dudicalo will be safe from attack here. Similarly, Tarquini has got McDowell all over him for 4th place.
Yeah, McDowell's got his lights on, he's looking a bit racy. I think he fancies a go at getting on the podium here.
Of course. But mind you, he's got to get 2. He's got to go by Tarquini and then knock off Rob Huff. So,
yeah, true.
But he'll be on the podium as the top independent unless he miscues a move on Tarquini. On board now again with Norbert Mikulits. Right in front is the black car of Tom Boardman. Flicking by those tyre stacks very close on the onboard camera, aren't they?
Yeah, I think someone's clipped the ones early in the lap, maybe turn 2 or turn 3 or something. They seem to be in the middle of the field.
A little bit further back behind them, you can see James Nash in 17th ahead of Fernando Monche, who's now got Tom Chilton right behind him, and Charles Eng, who had that moment earlier on. Boardman and Mikulits keeping everybody entertained. Mikulits has had a little bump from behind. One of the flaps on the rear bumper has been knocked off.
I think was that maybe Yoshimoto, I think, early on, when he clipped him and pushed him a little bit sideways.
Could well have been. Yellow flags are back in again now, turn 1 to 2. Whoa. Now, why was that rear wheel not turning, you might be thinking? Because it wasn't touching the ground. The car is on the brakes and the rear wheel is in the air. And habitually, you see the wheels stop when it leaves the ground. Just a tiny little touch. The BMW wants to carry speed to the apex, and the Seat doesn't want to. So Tom Boardman there with a big armful of opposite lock collecting all that up.
Yeah, I mean, it was just the slightest touch, but like you said, one wheel's dangling in the air, and it's just all on that rear tyre, and I'm sure it wasn't intentional, but...
No, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Menu the race leader, still from Muller and Huff. The gap has gone out from, or come down from 1.09 to 0.68 seconds, but Muller still nowhere near within shooting distance of having a lunge at Menu. So Alain Menu doing exactly what he would have wanted. Of course, for him, the real disappointment is that Muller and Huff are right behind him, so his gain in the championship is going to be reduced to, you know, a few points rather than a massive hatful. For Menu to really get back into it before Macau, Muller and Huff need to have a bad time. And the cars are so consistent and the drivers are so good that the points that Menu hasn't had early in the season through no fault of his own are going to be very hard to try and find in the death, aren't they?
Yeah, Menu's had a bit of bad luck this season, to be fair, and he must be kicking himself because he's driven really well this year, and he's certainly been up there with Huff and Muller, but just not had the luck.
Do you know what? He hasn't had a lot of luck in quite a few seasons the World Touring Car Championship. You know, when they started winning with the Chevrolet, he'd be winning one race the weekend and the car would retire in the other one, you know, and it would be 10 points in one race and none in the other one, and that's sort of the way it's continued. He's not had a consistent run of luck. As a result, not a consistent run of form. Looking here behind the queue of Dudicalo, Banani and Coronel, the pale blue car is Pepe Oriola, pale blue and white, with the black rear end. And he has got Stefano D'Aste's red, white and green BMW. Then Thiago Montero in the Honda. That car in 11th place. And Franz Engsler is right behind him in 12th spot. de Bréquelaire and a lot of people from Honda in Japan. Honda designed and developed the 1.6 turbo engine, but it is being built for the series by Mugen. Again, another Honda offshoot. "20 laps in, and still the BMWs, although they do seem to have speed, are struggling to find somewhere to exploit it."
Coronel's looking a bit feisty there, so I'm flashing Bernani down the back straight there, so I think he fancies his chances.
Well, he does, I think. You know, he's going, come on, guys, get out of the way. You know, just either get on with it or get out of the way and let me get on with it. But that's not the way it works. You've got to find a way to get by, and that's not easy here. Battle for sixth position, Alexei Dudicalo, the red and white Seat, further back up the screen, and Coronel with a really good run on Mehdi Bernani. Bernani right up against the pit wall to make sure he couldn't get through on the inside, which worked, but I'm sure will have been wildly frustrating for Coronel. It's not, that wasn't a Schumacher Barrichello pit wall move, no. But he knew the door was going to be open, and he made sure he kept his foot behind it, didn't he?
Yeah, he did well not to lose.
Oh, and that's what Coronel wanted. Contact in front of him. Can he find a way through? He does.
That was clumsy, to be fair. I mean,
yeah.
I don't really know what he was thinking of doing there.
No, I'm not sure where he thought he was going. I think maybe a mistake from Dudicalo, and yeah, Duda was miles away from the racing line, and Bernani, well, either he followed him off or he had to go through. So that was not an attempt to pass by Bernani. That was Dudicalo running wide and trying to shut the door too late, I reckon. And Bernani looks like he's got either steering damage or a puncture. And there is a yellow flag out in sector 2 because Dudicalo, no, shouldn't be out there. Who's gone off?
Yeah.
Bernani's in the pit lane. So the yellow will be withdrawn. And that then moves the Honda into 10th place. Top 10, first ever race for the Honda Civic, first ever points coming up.
Yeah, you can't really complain with that for your first round, can you?
Yeah, no. Better than poking the eye with a sharp stick, isn't it? And just in front of them, it is getting very busy, and that is the Engstler BM. No, that's not. That's Charles Eng. Oh, so he was behind. He's a lap behind.
Yeah, he's a lap down now, I think, isn't he?
And the Drift King comes back on, not having a good time here at all. There is Dudicalo, and I'm sure Coronel was going, go on, off. Dudicalo didn't go off and stayed on, unfortunately for Tom. Still in 6th position, the Russian. Coronel in 7th, Oriola, Daste, Montero. That's that group.
I wouldn't be surprised if Dudicalo's got a bit of maybe rear suspension damage off that, because it was a fairly substantial hit.
Yeah. Well, he got sideways, didn't he? So it may well have been not on the wheel, but on the door. And to be honest, if there's a penalty, I'd be very surprised, because Dudicalo was way offline, in trouble, and just tried to jam the door shut. And, you know, sometimes you can't recover a position.
I'm not sure he was, you know. I think he might have just been tucking in late, and because of the tyre degradation, I think he might have been really kind of cutting back late in the corner. And
yeah, but the problem there is that somehow the BMW had made up 2 car lengths on him and was alongside.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I think he'd lost momentum up the hill and just got it wrong. I mean, you look at the line that the Chevys here are taking through the same corner, and they are right over the curbs. Dudicalo was 2 car widths away from the curbs when he turned in.
Yeah, it might have been a bit of both. I think he was probably turning in a little bit late, and it might have been a little bit over-optimistic from Bernani as well.
I think Bernani just kept it nailed up the hill. I mean, you have to, you know, it's uphill all the way, pretty much. Even the bit that looks like it's going downhill is only level. So, you know, you are on the gas from turn 2 all the way up to the top of the hill. And if you're not, you might as well park it, because everybody's coming by you.
They couldn't get much closer than that. I think you'd probably just about get a fag packet between those two.
Well, luckily, both of them have got black paint on the bumpers, so no harm, no foul, no trace of any contact will be visible.
Norbert's a really clean driver as well, so I mean, Tom can battle him and, you know, defend and not really have any worries about getting fired off intentionally, but they're that close, and, you know, things can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Last lap of the race, climbing the hill for the final time. Alain Menu leading from Ivan Muller and Rob Huff. Gabriele Tarquini fourth, Alex McDowell in fifth. The Chevy 1-2-3 looked on the cards. Well, has looked on the cards almost at every racetrack all season, but certainly looked on the cards right from the start of qualifying when the cars were going so quickly here. And Alain Menu making no mistakes, no frailty in the car or the driver. He's going to win comfortably here. Ivan Muller in second place, Rob Huff in third position. Charles Eng in the background, not fourth. Next car across the line, Gabriele Tarquini in fifth. Alex McDowell dropping away a little to almost half a second behind Tarquini. You saw Albert Lau there. Menu's engineer looking very happy. And further back, Duda Carlo held on for sixth ahead of Coronel, Oriola, Daste Montero, Engsler, O'Young. And then comes the one car that is Bournemouth Mikulits. And James Nash just staying in front of Fernando Monche and Tom Chilton. So Mikulits not getting into the overall point standings, but in the independents still scoring reasonably well. And it's important to get as many points as you can, make the best of a bad situation. There's Alain Menu. Well, he made the best of a good situation, didn't he? Qualified very strongly. He was fastest in both free practice sessions, carried that through in qualifying, and won race one at a bit of a canter. So good effort from him. Muller and Huff sorted themselves out second and third, pretty much as you might have expected, I suppose, in the first corner. Rob tried his hardest to get by Ivan, and had to keep it clean in the end. Ivan got back in front into second place, turn 3, and that pretty much was that.
So like we said yesterday, you know, that obviously the top three guys there, they don't want to fire each other off. They've got to make sure that there's no unnecessary contact, but they are going to race each other. So I'm sure in turn 1 there's probably a little bit of, you know, let's stay away from each other, and then we'll fight for a few laps. But on the other side, they don't want to fight too hard with each other either, and, you know, force each other to make mistakes and damage each other's tyres. And
that's it. It's exactly right. I mean, it's a phenomenal balancing act, and the real problem, of course, for all three of them is that the two guys who are around them are A, in the same garage, and B, in exactly the same car. And so trying to find an advantage to get by your teammate is the devil's own task. Alain Menu made it look very straightforward out front, claiming victory in round 19.
ATS high-tech wheels, world champions with Chevrolet. Japan quality. Yokohama, your tire.
There is our Yokohama Independent race winner, Alex McDowell for Bamboo Engineering. Boys and girls at Bamboo will be very pleased with that. He was in 5th position, right behind Gabriele Tarquini. And there is your race winner. Now, Ben Constanduros will be down there. We'll grab a word with Alain Menu in just a second. So let's hear now from our race winner.
Victory in race 1 here at Suzuka, as in last year for Alain Menu. Alain, tell us, how difficult was that race, pacing yourself?
Not easy really, because Ivan was pushing. I could see that he did not let go. I thought maybe the last few laps he would just back off, but he did not. So I had to keep, on one lap I backed off just a tiny bit, and he caught me. So I had, okay, push again, but I had to push within the tires. So it's very, very tricky, because if we push too hard, we know that we would have been in big trouble with the front tires at the end. So you have to pace yourself, and at the same time keep an eye on your teammates behind. So it was a tough one.
A maximum 30 points for Alain Menu. Let's talk to Alex McDowell, who had a strong 5th position in the race. You were racing with Gabriele Tarquini throughout that one.
Yeah, we definitely had a strong setup on the car for that session that we learnt in the warm-up. We're really confident finishing P3, top Chevy, that we could have a good race result. But when Tarquini got me off the start, he's such a wily old fox that to try and get past him, he knows to conserve his tyres and just keep a steady line. I tried to copy him and then go on the attack towards the end of the race, but you can't overtake around here. But I hope we put on a good show.
Indy win for you, so congratulations.
Thank you.
And as you could hear there, the interviews being broadcast over the tannoy. Big motorsport weekend in the Tokyo area. They've got Japanese Motorsport Festival in Tokyo itself, and Suzuka not too far outside with the World Touring Cars here, and Honda returning, and that is bound to raise the profile of the championship still further in Japan. Of course, our tyre supplier, and their contract has been announced again for another 3 seasons. Yokohama, been a very critical part of this championship and its success over the last few years. And delighted that the guys from Yokohama will be back, and I'm sure a lot of the teams will be very pleased to come back for another sake ceremony in Suzuka next year. Alain Menu then, our round 19 winner, win number 4 of the season for him, and yet another Chevrolet 1-2-3. Alex McDowell claiming the top Yokohama trophy points, and again that is going to be very helpful for him, because that will push him back further into contention. Second of the independents was Alexei Dudicalo, 3rd was Coronel, 4th Pepe Oriola, 5th Aste, 6th Engstler, 7th Oyoung, 8th Boardman. My goodness, for Norbert Mikulic, that was not a good score.
No, he's had a bit of a disaster there, hasn't he? And it's really going to bunch up the independents for the final few rounds.
Well, Menu brings the gap to the leader down to 40 points. Huff now 4 points behind Ivan Muller. So again, it is the first man that blinks here between those two who is going to be struggling in Macau. And now, of course, top 10 from the race 1 grid are reversed. So Menu will be 10th, Muller will be 9th, Huff will be 8th. And habitually, the Chevys manage to carve their way through the field. Huff has got to make sure he's at the front of that blue queue, carving his way through. Is it Halloween already? Japanese umbrella girls and grid girls, a very big feature of Japanese racing. A lot of racing fans and racing drivers will know all about that. So the first race, 26 laps, Alain Menu working hard to preserve a lead and preserve the tyres, while further back down the field, an awful lot of brain work going into trying to find an advantage on the sinuous back section here at Suzuka. A lot of airtime for Tom Boardman and Norbert Mikulic. And first points for the Honda as well. Great start to the campaign. And that will really come, I'm sure, as a big boost to Yas, to Honda, and to Thiago Monteiro. But victory for Alain Menu, win number 4 of the season. Well, there's going to be, of course, the habitual 15-minute of repair time before the cars go out onto the grid for race 2. And repair time will start at 20 after. What have we got now? It's 4 minutes past 3, so a few more minutes. I'll stay with the pictures from Suzuka. There is Rob Huff in 3rd place. 2nd place, Ivan Muller. And victory. That's a long way. You don't want to slip off that podium.
No, it's a big old lump, that, isn't it?
You break your flipping leg. And our independent race winner, Alex McDowell, another Chevy driver, will join them. There you go, Alex McDowell. And you can see our drivers already mic'd up for the Inside World Touring Car Programme production crew. You're getting their thoughts about the weekend. You can catch up with that in Europe on Tuesday evening. Swiss anthem for our winning race driver and the American anthem for our winning constructor. So Chevrolet, the Star Spangled Banner for our winning constructor, and the Swiss anthem for our winning race driver Alain Menu, because for British fans you do occasionally have to remember that Alain Menu and Yvan Muller, although they are ours, aren't actually native Brits. There's only 2 Brits on the podium there. But Menu and Muller have both spent so long racing with British teams, and particularly racing in British touring cars, that a lot of British fans have sort of adopted them as their own. Trophy presentations. It is a long way. That is a properly tall podium. Stuart and Michelle, penny for their thoughts. Are pretty happy with the way that worked out. Stuart Cowie, the team manager, Michelle Seaman, who does the PR for Chevrolet Racing. This can be a very, very interesting off-season. So many things coming through the rumour mill. It'll be interesting to see exactly what comes out in spring 2013.
I think even if we don't see it next year, there'll be a lot of development and a lot of things going on for the following season as well.
Yeah, you just sort of get the feeling that there is air coming back in the balloon and the championship is on the ascendancy. Well, for Yokohama, the trophy winner here in Suzuka in race 1, Alex McDowell, in the Yokohama Independence Trophy. And we will hear from our top 3 drivers in just a moment. Get the other guys in. Been a while since Alex was on the podium. He's sort of forgotten how to do it. A big weekend for touring car fans. V8 Supercar Surfers Paradise 600. Finale of the DTM in Hockenheim. World Touring Car Championship here. And British Touring Car Championship decider at the hatch that is Brands. Olympic venue, Brands Hatch. Unfortunately, there is no Alex Zanardi there this weekend. Interesting to see what his next move is. He has said after winning 2 gold and 1 silver in the Olympic Games that his next move, Alex Zanardi, will be to win the Indy 500. And sometimes you sort of think, are you kidding me? No, Alex doesn't kid about stuff like that. Well, the Yokohama Trophy top 3 getting ready to come out. Alex there, Alexei Dudicalo, and you saw Pepe Oriola there as well. That's the top 3 from the race 1 order, and Yvan Muller with a 4-point lead over Rob Huff. And although Alain Menu mathematically is not out of it, you definitely feel that we are going to end up with Muller versus Huff again in Macau, same as we did last year.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's all sort of boiling down to that, unless one of them has an absolute stinker or both of them before then.
Yeah, definitely. Ricard Rydell, you forget that he started the season in Monza, raced in the Swiss Touring Car Championship for the rest of the year. He's looking to come back as well.
Alain, congratulations on yet another victory. You've had a great run of speed over the last few races. Tell us why do you think that is?
Good question. I don't think I've been slow before. I've been maybe a bit unlucky at times, but yeah, no, it went very well. But it was not an easy one, because with a driver like Yvan behind, you know, he's for sure one of the very best in the world. And we know that on this track we had to look after the front tires. At the same time, it's very easy to make a mistake, and I knew that one mistake and Yvan would have been there. So it was tough to push, but just keep the car just below the limit. But the Chevrolet was fantastic again.
This race is a 60-kilometre race rather than a 50-kilometre race. And did that make a difference for your tyres?
Obviously, yes. At the end, the longer the race, the harder it is on tyres. But to be fair, they held up pretty well. Everything went well.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
You can always tell a driver who has learned his English from British racing mechanics, A, the way he swears, and B, the sarcasm level. It's often quite high with Alain.
Yvan, second position. Firstly, talk us through that start. Very brave around the outside.
Yeah, I put everything on the first corner because it was almost the only chance to overtake Alain, so I tried my best. It was almost there, but only almost.
But you did get ahead of Rob. Compared to your teammate's pace, it sort of increased throughout the race. You got closer and closer to Alain and further away from Rob. Was that purposeful setup change?
Yeah, absolutely. The car was fantastic again. The car is fantastic since 3 years. But I did my best. I really give my maximum to try to catch Alain. But he drove very well. I didn't make any mistake. So for me, the best result I could have today was the second place.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, mistakes among the RML Chevrolet drivers are very few and far between. None from Alain. None from Yvan, and I'm sure that's exactly what Rob will be saying.
Rob, third position, did that go to plan for you?
Well, I started third. I didn't lose anything, so got to be happy with that. Yeah, we weren't quite as quick as the other two yesterday in qualifying, and that's why we obviously started third. And as Yvan sort of said, second was the best he could do today, and third was the best I could do in race one. So, yeah, pretty pleased. The car was really good on pace. As always, the Chevy was flying, and yeah, I mean, it was pretty much a follow my leader and wait to see if anything happened. And unfortunately for me, it didn't.
It was follow my leader throughout the whole of the race, from the first position all the way back to the last. Is aggressiveness or patience going to be key for you guys in race two?
Yeah, I mean, race two, I think this is probably going to be the hardest race two of the year because the track's so short, because it's so difficult to overtake on. As we saw, anything that did happen in the race happened in the first sort of 2 or 3 corners, and I think other than a bit of bumping, not really a lot happened. Yeah, it's going to be very tough. It's going to be difficult. We've got to be, got to be sensible at the end of the day. I don't want to be hanging myself out to dry. If I'm not 100% confident, I'll sit there and keep the others behind me, hopefully.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult balance, isn't it? Because these guys are coming from 10th, 9th and 8th on the grid. They want to get forward, but especially for Rob Huff, actually critically, what he doesn't want is for Yvan Muller to get back in front of him again, because, they came here tied on points. He wants to finish ahead of Yvan almost at all costs. Now, Norbert Michelisz lost 5 points only to Pepe Oriola, but Alex McDowell, look, he's now got in front of Stefano D'Aste, 44 points off the lead. That's one weekend, with effectively still 3 race weekends worth of points left to go after this for the independents. So McDowell is getting back to being in contention for the title, and for a rookie in this championship to be in that position against an experienced driver like Michelisz and against Pepe Oriola, that's very impressive stuff. Alex McDowell creeping just in front of Stefano D'Aste, again a former independent champion himself. So the Bamboo Engineering team and Alex McDowell really working well here. We've still got one more race to go. He could take another few points out of that before we are finished here in Suzuka. Well, Chevrolet, the manufacturers' champions, they decided that, wrapped it up in qualifying on Saturday. BMW and Seat, just 7 points between the two customer teams. So that is going to be very close all the way to the end. I wouldn't want to put any money on any of that. Wouldn't have been much point on putting money on Chevrolet winning the manufacturers' championship, I don't think, because that was always likely to happen.
Yeah, I don't think you would have got very good odds on that one.
No, not long odds, not long odds at all. So we're getting ready now for repair time here in Suzuka.